It was supposed to be a routine Hot Topics segment, but when Candace Owens walked onto The View today, the stage was already charged. Because just hours earlier, President Emmanuel Macron and his wife, Brigitte, filed a 22-count defamation lawsuit in Delaware, accusing Owens of launching a global smear campaign and calling Brigitte born a man, a baseless claim that fed conspiracy theories and caused real harm. Today, in this studio, the air crackled with tension. Candace came ready to fight for free speech, but standing across was Joy Behar, poised, fiery, and unafraid, ready to call it what it was: dangerous misinformation. What followed was one of the most intense confrontations ever captured on live TV. Fasten your seatbelts. The atmosphere in the studio felt charged, even before the segment started. Everyone knew this wasn't going to be a polite exchange about politics or pop culture. This was about something far messier, a lawsuit that had already shaken international headlines. Candace Owens walked onto the set with a confidence that bordered on defiance, her phone still in hand as she slipped it into her pocket. She took her seat at the table, back straight, eyes fixed on Joy Behar. Joy, already leaning slightly forward, adjusted her signature red-framed glasses, lips pressed into a thin line. Whoopi Goldberg opened the segment with the usual calm tone, but even she sounded cautious. Today's hot topic: Candace Owens is facing a 22-count defamation lawsuit filed by French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife, Brigitte, after claims about their marriage went viral. Candace, welcome back to The View. Candace smiled tightly, nodding once. Thanks for having me. Joy didn't wait for the polite banter. She cut straight in, voice sharper than usual. Candace, you're being sued for saying the French First Lady was born a man, a claim that's been debunked repeatedly. The lawsuit calls it, quote, a campaign of global humiliation. Why spread something like that in the first place? Candace turned to her, her smile never quite reaching her eyes. Joy, let me be crystal clear. I didn't spread anything. I discussed an existing story, one that's been circulating for years in Europe. I asked questions, I shared opinions, and I made it clear my platform is about free speech and investigating powerful people. That's not defamation, that's discussion. Joy let out a short, incredulous laugh. Discussion? You mocked her on multiple shows, Candace. You didn't say, hey, let's discuss the truth here. You treated it like a joke. This isn't journalism. It's harassment. And it's cruel. Candace's eyes narrowed. No, Joy. Cruel is pretending elites are untouchable while everyday people get ripped apart in the media every day. Cruel is silencing voices because they challenge a narrative. If President Macron and his wife can't handle public scrutiny, maybe politics isn't for them. The audience gasped, a murmur rippling through the crowd. Whoopi raised her hand, already sensing the temperature rising. All right, let's... But Joy cut in again, louder this time, her voice shaking not from fear, but anger. Scrutiny? You didn't scrutinize. You attacked a woman for how she looks and spread a conspiracy that has real-world consequences. And now you're shocked they're suing you? Give me a break. Candace leaned forward, eyes locked on Joy's. What shocks me is how quickly people like you defend power when it fits your side. And just like that, the stage was set. The room was thick with tension, the kind you could feel in your chest. Even the audience had stopped shifting in their seats. Every eye in the studio was locked on the table, as if something explosive was about to happen. Joy leaned forward, elbows on the table, eyes narrowing like she was looking straight through Candace. Her voice, steady but edged with fire, cut the silence. Candace, you didn't expose corruption. You didn't uncover fraud. You went after a woman's dignity. Brigitte Macron is a grandmother, for heaven's sake, and you turned her into a meme for clicks. Candace smirked, resting one arm across the back of her chair as though she owned the room. Joy, you don't get to decide which conversations are allowed. I don't control what people online are already saying. I highlighted it, I questioned it, because powerful people deserve to be questioned. That's what real journalism looks like. Joy's laugh was sharp, almost better. Real journalism? Please. Real journalism checks facts before turning human beings into targets. You knew exactly what you were doing, feeding a conspiracy to millions and then hiding behind free speech when it blows up in your face. Candace's eyes hardened, the smile fading. I'm not hiding behind anything. This is about freedom. The freedom to talk about what people are already whispering about. If I'm wrong, fine, let them prove it. But trying to silence me with a lawsuit? That's authoritarian. The audience erupted, half clapping, half booing. It was chaos. Joy didn't flinch. Her voice rose above the noise. Authoritarian? No, Candace. It's accountability. Because words matter. Lies matter. When you casually speculate about someone's gender identity, you're not holding power to account. You're dehumanizing someone. And then you sit here acting like you're some kind of free speech hero? No, you're just cruel. Candace's hand slammed lightly on the table, her composure finally cracking. I will never apologize for questioning those in power. You can call it cruel, but I call it courage. And maybe you're just angry because someone like me, who doesn't play by your media rules, actually has a voice. The audience gasped at the sharpness of her tone. Joy leaned back, shaking her head, muttering under her breath, "Unbelievable." Sunny Hostin reached across the table, trying to calm the storm. Okay, let's take a breath here because this isn't just about politics anymore. This is personal now. But it was too late. The segment had transformed from debate to all-out confrontation, and neither woman looked ready to back down. The tension at the table snapped like a cable under too much weight. There was no room left for polite disagreement. This had become something raw, something personal. Joy leaned forward, both palms flat on the table now, her voice rising. Courage? Is that what you call it, Candace? Spreading a lie about a woman's gender identity to millions of people? That's not courage. That's cruelty with a paycheck. Candace didn't flinch. She leaned in too, her voice cold and sharp. What's cruel is you pretending you're the moral authority here. You sit in this chair every day and call half the country racist, sexist, fascist, whatever fits your narrative. But when I say something that makes your friends uncomfortable, suddenly it's, oh, let's sue her into silence? That's not protecting truth, Joy. That's protecting power. The audience erupted, some clapping and shouting, others booing loudly. The energy was chaotic, split right down the middle. Joy's face flushed red, her voice trembling now. Not from fear, but from fury. You don't get to hide behind free speech to spread conspiracy theories about people's private lives. That's not holding anyone accountable, that's tearing them down. You humiliated a grandmother. A grandmother. And you're proud of it? Candace's voice shot back, louder now, riding over the roar of the audience. I'm proud of telling the truth as I see it. I'm proud of not backing down when elites want me silent. I will never apologize for doing my job. Joy stood from her chair, hands gripping the edge of the table. Your job? Your job is to tell the truth, Candace. But you didn't. You didn't even care if it was true. You just wanted the clicks, the headlines, the attention. That's not journalism. That's a circus. Candace stood too, their faces inches apart now. You think I'm scared of you, Joy? You think shouting at me will make me back down? No! This is why people don't trust media like yours anymore. You protect your friends and punish your enemies. And I'm not going to sit here and be one of your victims. The audience gasped at the sheer intensity. This was no longer just a debate. It was a full-on verbal brawl. Whoopi Goldberg stood up, hands outstretched, like a referee stepping into a fight. All right, enough! We're going to commercial now! But as the cameras cut to black, the damage had been done. There was no coming back from this moment. The set was silent except for the low hum of the cameras cooling down after the abrupt commercial break. Crew members moved quickly, whispering into headsets, trying to decide how to salvage the show. Joy sat back in her chair, her breathing shallow but steady, hands gripping her mug like it was the only thing anchoring her. She wasn't looking at Candace anymore. Her eyes were on the floor, blinking hard as if she needed a moment to process what had just happened. Candace stood still, arms crossed, her posture defiant. She didn't look shaken, at least not outwardly. If anything, she looked satisfied, as if she knew this moment was already going viral. She glanced toward the audience, half of whom were still murmuring, the other half sitting in stunned silence, phones already out to capture any movement. Sunny Hostin whispered something to Ana Navarro on the far end of the cable, but both quickly went quiet when Whoopi returned from backstage, visibly irritated. "All right, everyone, let's wrap this up like professionals." Joy finally lifted her gaze toward Candace, eyes narrowed but calm now, like a storm had passed but left behind debris. "You crossed a line today, Candace. You don't get to destroy people's lives and call it courage." Candace leaned on the table slightly, her tone low, measured. "And you don't get to decide who's allowed to ask questions. That's why people like me exist, Joy, because people are tired of gatekeepers like you." The room tensed again, but no one dared escalate it further. Not now.
When the cameras came back from break, the tension was still visible. Whoopi, doing her best to reset the tone, moved quickly to the next topic. But everyone knew the show had already been hijacked by what had just happened. By the time the credits rolled, Twitter was on fire. Clips of Joy shouting, "That's not journalism, that's a circus!" were trending alongside Candace's defiant, "I will never apologize for doing my job." Within an hour, hashtags Candace versus Joy and Macron lawsuit were trending worldwide. Opinion pieces began to pop up online. Daytime TV just got political and personal. And did Candace Owens cross the line or just speak truth to power? The confrontation was no longer just a TV moment, it was a cultural flashpoint. And everyone, from cable news to late-night comedians, was about to have an opinion. When the cameras finally stopped rolling, the air on the view set felt different. It wasn't just the usual post-segment chatter or nervous laughter after a heated exchange. It was heavier, almost historic. Like everyone in that studio knew they had just been part of a moment that would echo far beyond those walls. Joy Behar stayed seated, staring down at her mug, her fingers tapping lightly on the ceramic like she was trying to keep herself grounded. She had been on this show for decades, sparring with politicians, actors, and public figures. But this had been different. Candace Owens had come in ready to fight, and Joy had taken the bait. Hard. She whispered something to Sunny Hostin, who nodded gently, but neither smiled. Candace, meanwhile, left the table with the same confident posture she arrived with, phone already in hand as she texted furiously, likely with her team or social media manager. For her, this wasn't a scandal. It was fuel. She knew clips of her standing her ground against Joy Behar would energize her audience. By the time the studio doors opened and both women left in opposite directions, the internet had already exploded. On Twitter, one clip of Joy shouting, "That's not journalism, that's a circus," was looping endlessly, paired with captions like, "Joy destroys Candace Owens on live TV." Another clip showing Candace slamming her hand on the table and saying, "I will never apologize for doing my job," had already hit 500,000 views, with hashtags like hashtag Candace versus Joy, hashtag free speech fight, and hashtag Macron lawsuit climbing the trending list. News outlets wasted no time. CNN ran the headline, "Candace Owens, Joy Behar explosive clash over Macron lawsuit rocks daytime TV." Fox News countered with, "Candace Owens stands strong in fiery exchange. Free speech matters." Late-night comedians hinted at jokes before the day even ended, promising this moment would be their monologue opener. But the biggest impact was with viewers. People weren't just watching, they were choosing sides. On one side were those who saw Candace as a champion of free speech, someone willing to stand up against what she sees as media hypocrisy and elite overreach. On the other side were those who felt Joy was absolutely right, that what Candace had done wasn't journalism, but cruelty masquerading as commentary. For many, it struck a personal chord. What is the line between free speech and defamation? When does holding power accountable become targeting someone personally? In living rooms across America, families debated at dinner tables. On podcasts, commentators dissected every gesture, every word, every tone of voice from the broadcast. It wasn't just television anymore. It was a national conversation.
The emotional fallout extended beyond Candace and Joy. Brigitte Macron herself issued a rare statement, calling the rumors deeply painful and profoundly disrespectful, while French President Emmanuel Macron reaffirmed their lawsuit, saying, "This is about dignity, about respect for truth." Meanwhile, Candace released a short video hours later, doubling down on her position. "I will never apologize for asking questions. Free speech matters more than the feelings of the powerful." It went viral instantly. Joy, for her part, closed the next day's show with a quieter tone. "Sometimes we fight because we care. I stand by what I said. Words matter, and so does truth." The world had moved on to its next news cycle within days, but this moment stayed online, a permanent reminder of how fast one conversation can turn into a cultural earthquake. If you enjoy watching powerful, unfiltered moments like this one, where public figures collide and nothing is left unsaid, make sure to subscribe to this channel. Hit the bell icon so you never miss a breakdown of the most shocking, emotional, and conversation-starting clashes on television. Because as today proved, the next viral showdown could happen anywhere, at any moment, and you'll want to be here when it does.